Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello, I'm back.
She's back. She went on sabbatical.
Yeah, I did. This for a day.
She's no longer canon.
I'm no longer canon. Well, I'm no longer canon for real.
Yeah, I know you got decanonized. This is actually true. There actually is was an expanded universe character based on Geeky, and they
named after me.
Yeah, and they got
snapped.
She got snapped.
But anyway, that's funny you worded it that way.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about this. So the writer of Obi-Wan, or one of the writers of Obi-Wan, says that they did not break canon. Have to give a hat tip to Mr. Milo for this. I wasn't really aware of it. I heard some chatter. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about the media turning on Obi-Wan. That the honeymoon is over. As of episode 4, we've got headlines like Obi-Wan Kenobi still struggling to justify its existence. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 4 has me wondering WTF we're even doing here.
Well, it's interesting because when people complained about the show initially, which actually most of the complaints weren't even about Reva, even though Disney tried to spin it that way.
Yep.
People are like, well, it's only 2 episodes in. You can't judge it. It's too soon. Well, now it's 4 episodes in. And now even the media is moving past the whole, oh, you can't say anything because you're racist. And now they're basically calling it out. And then you have the writer admitting they kind of just did whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah, so they knew this was going to be a disaster. And this is exactly what we said it was going to be. They were preemptively finding reasons to dunk on fans.
Just as we have foreseen.
Just as we have foreseen, to defend this show, which I'll be honest, I'm not even angry about it. It's boring as hell. The episodes I watched, I thought were boring. Even the spoiler, the Vader Obi-Wan throwdown barely was. It was actually very poorly shot. It looked like a fan film, a bad fan film.
Right, and that's what they're talking about with the writer taking some liberties. I have not seen episode 4 yet. I basically skimmed through episode 3. I've seen a clip of episode 4 where she's deflecting all of the beams off a ship, which, that's okay. They've done it with other Jedi before. Yeah. And then she throws an object at it and blows it up, apparently. I've only seen that part.
I don't care. I
haven't had time to sit and watch it, and if I do, I was probably going to skim through it anyway.
And this was the one Disney Star Wars show I actually was looking forward to because I like Ewan McGregor. I like the prequels. I thought, well, they can't screw this one up, can they? I'm like, oh,
Disney.
no.
Of course they can.
They can't. I mean, they can't screw up Boba Fett, right? I mean, The Mandalorian was just supposed to be an appetizer for Boba Fett, and it was boring. Mm-hmm. Like the only episode, other than the first episode, the only episode of Boba Fett I sat through was the episode that was basically another episode of The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. And bits and pieces of the one with deepfake Luke. And that's it. That's all I cared to see. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 269, almost 270,000 subs. Thank you for the support.
Please make sure you're still subscribed.
Yeah, make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people. I don't know why they do that. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the deal is with YouTube. Who knows how YouTube works? Nobody knows how YouTube works. I don't even think YouTube knows how YouTube works.
Yeah, and when they do something to you, it's all nebulous.
It's all nebulous. It's all secretive. Anyway, so complaints that the writer of Obi-Wan, is coming out and saying, hey, we didn't break canon. And just to remind you, this is Lucasfilm's defense. And I can't even get angry about it anymore because all of this is fan fiction. Mm-hmm. It's all fan fiction. It's just paid fan fiction. We had Matt Martin coming out a couple of years ago and saying that, hey, all Star Wars is fake anyway, so
believe what you want.
Believe what you want. The canon doesn't matter.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, kind of thing.
Canon doesn't matter. That is the rallying cry. It doesn't matter. Now, canon has always been kind of sacred to pop culture fans because it's the glue that holds the whole damn thing together. Mm-hmm. If you don't have continuity in your stories and your characters and their behavior and all that, nothing means anything. There are no stakes, and we already know there are no stakes anyway because now we've got the multiverse out in so many franchises now. Like, well, yeah, that was just an alternate universe. It doesn't really matter. We'll just start over.
It's basically their excuse to change everything the way they want it.
Yeah, and I really think that a lot of this started with Marvel Comics bringing in writers that weren't actually familiar with the characters they were writing. And so they're like, well, you know what? We're just gonna start over. Mm-hmm. We're gonna just pretend, pretend the Iceman's gay now.
Basically, we're just going to self-insert.
And we're going to self-insert. We're going to insert it into ourselves repeatedly. And
you're going to do that.
Anyway, so yeah.
So easy. You're just too easy. All too easy.
All too easy. Let's talk about this first. So going out to piratesandprincesses.net, Mr. Milo's article here. Again, this is the biggest complaint I had was that there was no indication that Obi-Wan and Vader fought before A New Hope at all. And apparently everybody seems to know that the Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker. Except for Obi-Wan. And all of that. And there was no indication that Obi-Wan spent any time with little Princess Leia. Because she didn't seem to know who the hell he was.
Yeah. Well, it's basically called, we have the franchise, we want to make money. So milk it some more.
Yeah. Yeah. So, of course, the line in A New Hope, which kind of cinched it, was, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. That seems to imply that he was still his Padawan. And he left him charred and he hasn't seen him in 20 years. It's not actually what happens, though, according to the new canon, which you have to accept.
So you're a horrible person.
Or you're a horrible person. You're racist. If you look at this plot hole, this massive plot hole, you're racist. Now, we were talking about before we started recording the video, to be fair, George Lucas has actually retconned his own story several times.
That's true. I mean, we've seen it, like, they bring it up, the writer brings it up with, Vader being his father and Obi-Wan saying from a certain point of view and all that. And that's fair. That is a fair statement. And you said that they did it with the
Clone Wars. Yeah, Clone Wars. That was one of the first things I noticed. I think it was a Clone Wars movie. They fought Grievous. Again, Anakin fought Grievous in Clone Wars, and it was like, wait a second. Revenge of the Sith, it seemed heavily implied that was the first time that they'd fought since he lost his arm. So why is he fighting Grievous all the time? You know what I'm saying? So it takes that big moment, like, oh my God, this is the rematch. So at this point, it's not the rematch, it's yet another rematch.
Well, it's funny to me because what are they going to do because now you're pointing out that other media outlets are calling it out as well. After I got to episode 4, it's really must have jumped the shark because people are like calling it out all over the place. I'm like, so you're not racist to call it out now? I mean, it was funny to me because when the people were arguing about the racism thing, one of their arguments was, these people don't even know that Darth Vader was voiced by a black person. And it's like, the point is everybody knows that. They had no problem with other characters that weren't white up until they made characters that were terribly unlikable, terrible characters. It had nothing to do with the actors even. The Kelly Moran Tran incident, they always bring up. People don't like Rose Tico. For the majority of people, 99.9% of people had zero problem with Kelly Marie Tran as far as her being Asian. They just hated Rose Tico. And they're trying to be like, they're so stupid, they don't even know. Someone needs to tell them. It's like, that's not the problem here. They know that.
Yeah, look, the argument is not the actual argument. Here's what, when we did a video about this, this is what I think is happening. It's all about getting the initial view count up on the show. So it was about creating a controversy around Obi-Wan because they knew the show was dog shit. Create a controversy around it so it's critic proof. And at this point, I don't think they're going to defend it that much because they're already moving on to Ms. Marvel. That's the new thing.
Which they're getting Ms. Marvel and Obi-Wan in June. Guess when the end of the quarter is? End of June.
Yes.
And that's when they're getting everybody to subscribe. So they had May and June numbers up. But anyway, here's what the writer said about changing continuity. And it's interesting. Now remember, this was not the original writer. The original treatment was done. The writer had done it. Kathleen Kennedy stepped in and said she was scrapping the whole thing and having them do it again. So this person, their version of writing this was not the original version we were supposed to get. We don't know what that was, but we know that the person was fired.
6 episodes of Obi-Wan just sitting in his hut.
No, it's probably 6 episodes of Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan, but that was toxic.
It was toxic. There not enough representation in the show about this old white man.
We need to make it about somebody else. These people,
Anyway.
It'd be a good show if it's a woman.
Anyway, so it was the opposite. There was no line in A New Hope that said we couldn't. It seemed like that was the case to me. One could argue that Obi-Wan's from a certain point of view thing is obviously revisionist storytelling in regards to the original trilogy, but it wasn't Obi-Wan that said it. It was Vader.
No, he said from a certain point of view it was Obi-Wan.
Well, no, about the being the was the learner and now I'm the master.
That's true.
Yeah.
But basically the implication is because they did it in the original trilogy, I can do it now.
Yeah.
And one could argue that. No, the only person arguing that is this person.
There's another way of saying there are gray areas and things we don't know. Yes, because you're making up fan fiction. All of Disney Star Wars, to me.
Since George Lucas got rid of it.
Since George Lucas got rid of it. With the exception of, I'll give you Rogue One.
Actually, Rogue One was really good.
I'll give you The Mandalorian. You know, I like The Mandalorian.
They're making that whole cloth as a whole other character.
Yeah, so...
But they respect the original.
Right. But the sequels, all the tie-in comics, to me, it's just a bunch of freaking fan fiction.
Well, because at least with those, at least with like Rogue One, they tried to like make it fit. They even tried to make the haircuts and the style of everything fit in.
Yeah.
And they went to all this trouble. And you could tell they went to trouble to make it fit. Now they're just like not caring at all. Just like, we'll just make our own shit up and just tell them, oh, from a certain point of view, ha ha ha, morons. You can't critique me.
Yeah.
How dare you?
There's nothing wrong with uncovering the past and its truths and storytelling.
You can't uncover something that's truth when you're making it up.
It never felt wrong to me.
To you.
There's nothing that I feel like we violated at all.
Obviously.
If anything, we've informed those scenes so that some of the choices we've taken for granted in the original trilogy, like canon, we've taken canon for granted, actually make more sense now. No, they make significantly less sense.
Right. We went and told you what to think. You need to think what we say, racist.
If you came to the entire Star Wars storytelling world fresh and watched it all the way through from episode 1, this would feel like a natural link between those two trilogies. No.
It would not. Why? Is this person saying they came into it fresh and didn't watch it, so they just made shit up?
That actually, yeah. That is how it feels. That is how Disney Star Wars feels. And that's almost like, I was saying before, it feels the reason that they did that with the expanded universe is there's so much of it that they're just like, just burn it down. We'll start over because it's too much work to, keep track of it. Now, the weird thing is for the longest time, Pablo Hidalgo was supposed to be the guy who you went to ask questions about what was canon, what isn't canon. And he supposedly signed off on this. And
they got us from a couple things he agreed to and stuff like that.
So I have to wonder if he's not doing this just to troll the Star Wars fans. Like, fuck you guys.
Do I think Lucasfilm's doing it in general, troll Star Wars fans? Yeah. Yes. Disney wants to make money. There's ways they can make money and still make shows that fit into the canon and felt like they belonged. But they're just doing it now to be like, fuck you. Because they've been saying that to the fans since The Last Jedi. And their stuff has gone down the shitter since The Last Jedi, except for The Mandalorian, which was Filoni and Favreau and Bad Batch and things that were Filoni. They've done okay. It's just funny to me.
It's wild. I mean, they're like, oh, we're so glad we could keep the secret about Leia. Because why would anybody expect little Leia to show up?
Everybody's known about it since they cast her. It's a non-secret. What's secret?
But the general public would be like, well, Obi-Wan never met Leia. That's why she sent the message.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. They're going to be like, well, she called him Ben. So she didn't realize it's the same person when she sent the message.
So when Luke is so heartbroken for 30 seconds, when Ben gets killed in the first movie, Leia never makes a connection like, oh, Ben Kenobi. Oh, that's
she makes enough connection to name her kid after.
Yeah, because this is a retcon. This is like, why would, people brought that up, why would Leia and Han name their kid Ben when Han didn't give a shit about Kenobi, thought he was an old kook, and Leia never met him? Why would they name their kid Ben? It totally made sense for Luke to name, his kid Ben. Right?
Thank God he didn't name his kid Yoda.
Little Yoda.
Because Yoda would make more sense because he spent more time with Yoda.
It's not Yoda. The girl. It'd be Yoda. It's not Yoda.
It's Yoda.
Yoda.
Yoda. Yoda. Not Yoda.
So, yeah. So this is a retcon to try to make the sequels make sense. Like,
literally, though, we're 4 episodes in and it's all about Leia.
It's all about Leia.
They knew that people were not going to like this.
Yeah. And the general public's probably like, oh, yeah, well, Leia's not going to be in it because why would she be?
Right. But the thing is, people wanted Obi-Wan, and if it's supposed to be the time when he's on Tatooine watching over Luke, they expected, like you said, the comic where maybe Luke got lost and Obi-Wan went out to get him, and there's a whole thing about, but they wanted to put Vader in it for whatever reason, and then they wanted to put Leia in it for whatever reason.
Shoehorn all these original trilogy characters in. Because I was thinking to myself, well, this could be good because, again, there were comic stories where he was watching over little Luke. And I thought they were, for a minute, until Leia showed up, I thought maybe they were going in that direction. And if they'd cut the Leia stuff out, stayed on Tatooine and had him, handling Luke, because Luke obviously knew him, and there's a history with Owen, obviously. And that could have been an adventure. But yeah, they had a comic where he was like saved Luke and Wendy, and then they had, like Tashi Station and all that.
They could even put Leia in it in a way that Luke saw her but didn't know that her name or didn't know who she was. Like, they could even done like a one episode thing where they did Leia. But literally the whole damn show is the Leia and Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, which makes no sense. The whole fucking show.
It has nothing to do against, because they're like, and of course, if you criticize this, you're criticizing the actress. I have nothing against the little girl playing Leia. I think the writing's wonky. And I think some of the things they choose, but it's not the actress's fault. I have nothing against her. I think she's cute. I have no problem with her.
She's way younger than 10.
Yeah. When people are going on about their issues with the show, it has more to do with this kind of stuff we're talking about, and that they're spending all this time on Leia, which doesn't make any sense, than it does that people don't like the actress. But of course, because we can't take actual criticism, we have to take whatever you're saying and find a way to deflect it that you're against some type of person, children, minorities, women, whatever. That's what they're going to try to spin it as. Because if you don't like that, because if you don't like it, they'll bully you into submission. You have to admit you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
Leia should not be in the show. I mean, she can be in it, I think, for an episode or two, but it should have focused on Obi-Wan and Luke, which made more sense.
And they did a bait and switch. I'm sorry, they did, because even the trailer, they had him watching over little Luke.
They didn't even mention Leia.
They didn't mention Leia.
I knew about it because they cast her a long time ago, so we knew way back then when the rumors were out there casting Leia. I've known about it for a long time.
I knew she was going to be in it. I did not think she was going to be the plot. She is the plot point, which makes no fucking sense.
She's the MacGuffin.
She is the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense. It makes no sense for her to be hanging out with Obi-Wan for any, they could have a brief meeting and she wouldn't remember because she was 10 years old and he went by Ben and whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, that guy.
But Luke knew Ben.
Yes, because Obi-Wan saved his ass a couple of times on Tatooine. This was in the comics. This was in the expanded universe they burned down.
But they made sure they mentioned it in New Hope. He knew Ben.
Yes. Yeah, so it would have made complete sense for him to be like, Ben Kenobi, yeah, I remember when you saved my ass from the crate dragon or whatever, and, stuff like that. Like, that would have totally made sense. But, of course, we can't have this show make sense because we can't have it just be Obi-Wan and Luke, which would have been fine, and I think most people would have been okay with that. But the mainstream media is starting to rip this one apart, too. We've got Forbes, Obi-Wan Kenobi struggling to justify its existence 4 episodes in. I thought it was funny. I'm just like, what are people saying about it? And it's starting to not resonate well with people. But Forbes here, it was fine. So far, there's nothing explicitly bad about Obi-Wan as a series. Maybe a few weird editing decisions. But 4 episodes into a 6-episode run, there's just nothing terribly compelling about it either. That was Boba Fett. It was just, Look, I'll tell you what's compelling. Classic Star Wars characters, bringing views to Disney Plus. Normies are going to be like, Obi-Wan, I know that name. Leia, I know that name.
Well, I'm mad because I think they should just do a Leia show. That would be like Leia before we saw her in New Hope, because apparently she's, a little bit like a rebellious person, obviously. They could totally do a show about Leia before they hit, the New Hope, and they could do that as its own thing. Instead, they shoehorn her as a child into the Obi-Wan show. I think that's actually more of a disservice to Leia, and it's a disservice to the fans because you'd expect it to be Luke. I want to know more about Leia, but I want to know more about Leia when she's older. What put her on that ship? Why was she, why brought her to the rebellion? I would like to see that. I don't need her shoehorned into Obi-Wan. I want to see how Luke knew Obi-Wan and how they ended up where they were at the beginning of A New Hope on both characters.
Well, this is about rewriting the narrative, right? So basically, Kathleen Kennedy's legacy is going to be that Star Wars is not about Luke Skywalker. Star Wars is actually about Leia. And we've seen this time and time again.
The Force is female shit.
The Force is female shit, and she can deny it, but it's very obvious they've actually run Luke down in several cases.
Yeah. And as a female Star Wars fan who's been a Star Wars fan since as long as I can remember, I have a problem with that because I love Leia because I love Leia as Leia. I love Luke. I love Luke as Luke. I didn't need Leia to slap Luke in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, they both had their strengths, and to me, they were all important. Like, Luke was the main character, obviously, but the other characters are so close to being the main character. They were basically like an ensemble thing, and to me, they were always all equally important. You know what I'm saying? In the story.
It was like Friends with lightsabers.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And to me, it's a disservice to Leia and to Luke to do what they've been doing with the Disney movies. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way, and I think that you know, for a few exceptions, Disney has, yeah, like you said, pushed this Kathleen. I'm assuming. I don't know that. I'm assuming it's her agenda. She's in charge.
Almost guarantee you it is.
But it's not working. And the thing is, they need to. There's no reason why she has to be better. They could do a Leia show. They didn't have to put her in this. I would have much rather seen a Leia as older Leia when she turned in, joined the rebellion than I would have as her being an annoying child. And she's annoying because they wrote her that way.
Esquire has me wondering what the fuck. Esquire. What the fuck are we doing here?
Well, that's because they're misogynist because it's Esquire.
But they're like, it's old man.
Obviously racist too.
Calling it old man Ewan McGregor. Yeah, it's they're IGN. They're like, yeah, what should be a thrilling prison break is instead a bland series of events devoid of emotion and character development that has previously made Kenobi such a great watch.
Clearly racist and misogynist.
Yep. Mercifully, the shortest of the run so far, episode 4, is the season's first misstep.
Oh, it's been misstep before, but now I gotta see what the people are complaining about episode 4.
Oh, here we go. Star Wars is no stranger to remixing its own past. Oh,
well, to be fair though, to be fair, they did retcon stuff in the original trilogy.
They did.
And I mean, I would be lying if I said they didn't. And that's documented. We know this. So, I mean, that's true. But the difference is hindsight is 2020, and Disney should know that, there were missteps there. So it would be their job to make new stuff, but make it fit within. And they told you their attitude. None of the can doesn't matter. Believe what you want.
Yeah, that's, I mean, look, you've got people in charge.
Said it.
Yeah, in charge of these shows, in charge of these comics, in charge of these franchises that don't give a shit. Meanwhile, you've got something like the Orville that actually feels more like the franchise it's supposed to be parroting because it's got, some of the people that worked on that franchise actually working on the show, right? And there's a genuine love for it. And I just get the feeling that the people that work at Lucasfilm don't like Star Wars all that much. It's just a job for them. It's just a, Or
they like their version of Star Wars. That's
right.
Their version that most people don't like. And then they like to rub it in people's faces.
So, George Lucas doesn't consider Disney Star Wars canon.
You don't consider it.
I don't consider it canon. Just take it or leave it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we got 6 good movies and a couple good animated series, and the rest of it, you can take it or leave it. And I think if Disney continues to shit out subpar stuff like this, a lot of people are going to be leaving it.
And it does seem like it's done on the cheap. It really does.
Oh, yeah. Even compared to The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan looks really cheap.
Even when you see the scene with her flinging the whatever, it looks really cheap.
Like on a string or
No, it's not that bad, but it's clearly, it's like CGI, and it's just like, okay. I mean, it's like up there with the prequels I think on how shitty it looked, but that's okay.
God. All right, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.